So we'll do heat penetration. So you go to, there are two sides. One side is collect data right here, and the other side is evaluate data. So of course, collect data is going to be when we're running. Evaluate data is later when you're all done. And under each one of those, you have heat penetration, temperature distribution, and under evaluate data, set a process means for heat penetration, set a CUT vent means for temperature distribution. So today we're doing heat penetration, so I click, and I do new. Let me sit down, it's easier. And well, I'll leave for now, just close that. Okay, and then it has the date with a 01 at the end, so it's going to be 2019, October 10th, 01. So I usually leave the 01 because I'm typically doing a replicate. So then I'll put in, and I'll put test at the end so you know. So I'll do HP, and this is up to you, but I usually do HP, all packs, steam, and the can size, 300, 407, and I'll say P's. And then and that will be my first rep, and then when I run it again, I'll change the 01 at the end to a 2. And then I just say, and then because this is a test, we'll put, I'll put demo, okay? And then I put save. Comes up, and then these things have to be filled in. So anything has an asterisk, so I'll put, no, that's some P's. And then I'll find my can, so it'll be can. Dimension, you have to put that in. So the batch type will be horizontal steam and all packs. And is it all view? Is that the name of the control system?
That is correct.
Okay. And are we doing an RPM today?
Yes, 15 RPM.
Okay, so do 15. And then the asterisk, you have to fill it in. So we'll say trout, fruit and veg, pilot plant. And we'll put East Lansing. Okay. And it'll be low acid canned food. We'll just say confirmation. It can be a cold spot. Let's not worry about that. I typically use 6.0. You can use 8. That's just more conservative. We're doing 250 Fahrenheit. Scan intervals, I usually like to use 10, especially when I'm getting started to make sure I have enough data, but 15 is okay. So I'll put myself for now. And we'll just say demo. And then you can put any kind of notes you'd like right here. Okay, so that's all filled in, then you just say next. And when you say next, you'll see these tabs up here. So you can move back and forth between the tabs, or there'll be a bunch of tabs. Okay, so then on this one, Calplex, you'll just have to type in the serial number. Let's not worry about that for now. Thermocouples are going to be Eklund, I think. And the wires, slip ring, yes. Okay, fine. So if the thermocouples are connected and reading, then you push scan data logger. And right now it's saying not detected, but of course it will in the future. So what you would see here is you'd see all 16, or we're doing 12. So you'd see all 12. I can't really bring them up. It would be useful, but okay, that's fine. So you'll see them 1 to 12, and then you have to click on, as you toggle on each one, Jason knows, it will show a picture of a can, which will be, that means you're measuring the thermocouple inside the can. And so in this case, you're going to have all heat penetration. So I would have, if I have 12 thermocouples, I would have at least 10 that are in the can, and I would make sure they're set up, let's say 1 to 10. Then 11 would be a free lead, and you have to toggle so it goes to free lead. It would show, and then I might have 2 free leads, so I'd have 2 free leads, and the free leads I place 1 in the steam. Well, in this case I probably do 1 free lead because it's a small retort. If any thermocouple is not working and you can't get it to work, but you want to proceed, you can just toggle and say it will just do a bad data and the can will be deleted. Okay, so that's useful. All right, so then you say next. Okay, so let's just say it looks like 7 is connected, and that's a heat pen. You can see it looks like a can. So I'll show you what the toggle looks like. When you click toggle, and it goes to a free lead, do it again, it goes to bad lead, do it again, it goes to open channel. So you can see, so for now, we're just going to say, oh, okay, so number 7 is a heat pen lead. So I made a heat pen. And then let's say number 8 is a free lead, okay, just because it's a demo. Okay, so there you go. I have it set, right? So you're ready to go, and now it should let you go. So then I say next to go to the next screen. Okay, good. All right, so you see the tabs. I have test documentation, data collection, and formulation info. Most of the time, I don't fill in this one or the next one because those are usually on a hard copy from the company or the research group has it. You're welcome to do that, but usually I have it hard copy, so I'm going to skip that for formulation. Then critical factors, same thing. I usually have that on hard copy. So I usually just scan it and put it into my report. But you're welcome to fill it in if you want, but you don't have to. So then I usually keep going on the 1, 2, 3, 4, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. So the fifth one is important, which is a calibration. So if you're just getting started and you haven't calibrated any of your thermocouples, and let's say we have 12 thermocouples in there, then you want to gather them together and then put them right next to the TID. This is a small retort, so it's not a big deal, but you want to get them all together, hang them near the TID, close the door, and just bring the retort up to 250 Fahrenheit, and then let it come to steady state. And when it's steady state, a very blunt sinusoid, when it's there, then you can do calibration. So what you do is you say, assume that we're there, unless you want to do it.
No, that's fine.
Okay, but you do new file, and then then I do refresh from data, like that. And here's what it's going to do. If you see number 7 right now has an offset of 176 degrees, but that's because I typed in a reference temperature 260. So if you want to see a small, the way I would do it is, let's say, okay, so let's say I'm looking at this, and so I say, okay, I'm going to take 5, 6, 7 readings. So I look at it, and let's say it's reading 251.8. So I say 251.8, type it in, and say refresh from data. And then what it does is it compares number 7, or compares all the thermocouples to 251.8, because that's what it should be reading. And there'll be an offset, whether it's plus or minus, and it automatically takes care of it. And so all of those offsets will be sitting there. And you can see right now the number 7 has an offset, right? So then and then I wait a little bit and then do it again and type in the next one. And so you take 6, 7, 8 readings. And when the readings start to become very similar, meaning the offsets are very similar from one entry to a next entry, that means I've pretty much reached my calibration. That's the best I'm going to get. And then let's assume that's where we're at, right? So then, okay, if you're going to do 1, 2, 3, I usually do save and new. So you click save and new, and it saves the calibration factors. And then I'm going to get a reading. So then here's my reading. Let's say my next reading is 252.1 from that TID. And then I just say refresh from data, and then do a save and new. Okay, scanning, save and new, like that. And it keeps saving everything down here. Okay, so let's say, oh, now I think I'm pretty much at the end of my calibration. Everything looks good. The offsets are, say, 0.5, 0.4. They're pretty small. Then when I'm done, I'll do a last file. So I'll just do like a refresh from data, and then I'll type in, this is my last one. So let's say it's 251.5. I read from the TID, and then I say, okay, and I say save and done. So then I just look over the 6 or 7 that I did, and I say, okay, I think this one looks the best. So let's just say it's going to be this one. And then that one is 19101002.clb, which means calibration. So then I'm going to put that, I'm going to say apply factors to file, and it says, are you sure? Yes. And you notice it jumps up to the top. So that calibration file that I just got is going to be sitting there until I remove it. And every time you come in, it will be sitting there. And anytime you want to move to another calibration file, you just go down here, click it, and apply it. So now you're ready to go forward. And then you say, next. OK, so this is the step before you run. So what I do is I choose scan multiple times. And whatever you do, don't say start data collection until the retort's actually running. Because then you just have to cancel the file, right? So you say scan multiple times. It comes up. And then I just leave it here while we're getting the retort up and running. And it's just feeding me temperatures. And they're not being saved. They're just being read. OK, so what it's doing right now, if there's a thermocouple there, it would be reading the 7 and the 8 and tell me. Now, what I also do is I always check this number here, and I make sure that I have exactly the right number of thermocouples and that they're all correct and that the free lead is correct. And sometimes I find out that I was wrong. Somehow I clicked something wrong. You still have a chance to change it. All you have to do is say, you just say done. OK, and now it's just holding. And then you go back to this tab, which is data collection. Hold on a second. It would be data collection, I believe. Yeah. You go to data collection, and that's where you change it back to the correct one. Like maybe I had a free lead on something that should have been a heat pen. So then I would just go in here and change the toggle, and then it will be all ready to go. And I just click right back to the data collection tab where I was. And if I say multiple rescans again, all of those will have changed to what I said it should be. And so that's like when Jason tells me, OK, are you ready? I always come over here and I count them up, make sure all my thermocouples are correct. And then when he asks me and I say, OK, I'm ready to go, when the retort actually is going to run, I will go to done. And then and Jason will say, OK, are you ready? And then when he says, boom, and just as he starts it, then I come over here and click start. And then it does the collections.
So a question, like, what happens if you started earlier? Won't you just get baseline readings until he starts it?
You will.
Is that bad?
I guess it's probably not necessarily bad, but then on the analysis, when it comes time to analysis, it's got all this extra time on the front end.
Oh, you have to delete that or something like that.
Yeah, so if you're not going to do analysis and submit it to FDA, then it's probably not a big deal. But I'm submitting to FDA, so I have to keep track of all the time in the front end.
Okay.
So that's the issue. But you're right, for research, it's not a big deal. I mean, for just, that's true.
Okay.
You're right. But I try to do it exactly when you're starting so that the analysis doesn't have any padded time at the front.
I was just thinking, but I mean, we're using the same computer for both in this case. So you have to start one and start the other.
Oh, so in that case, start this first?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't start it 5 minutes in advance.
I know,
Just start it, and then within 30 seconds, get the retort started.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Does that make sense? And then when you're finished, you just come in. You'll see all the data up there. When you're finished, there'll be a stop. So you push stop. It will ask you, are you sure? Then you can say yes. And then you'll see at the end, and I can show you that at the end, then you can have a flash drive, plug it in, and it will say backup data. You can back up the data on a flash drive. You can immediately put it on your computer. So now it's on this computer. It's also on a flash drive, which you can take to your office, stick it in, and or somewhere else if you're doing, so you can work on it at home. Yeah, that's the whole thing, I think. And then the nice thing is, if you're going to do a replicate, everything is stored. So all you do is just change the name of the file. It's all set up, and it even has the same name, and you just change the 01 to a 02 and say, I want to run the same thing, and that's it. So you don't have to do all that setup that I showed you. Okay? That's it. And then you just keep track, by hand. I have a hand sheet that I keep track of the TID and I confirm. Okay?